Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Loving God, loving each other, he touched me. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. I've just seen Jesus, the King is coming. Some of the most powerful words ever sung first got their start in a small Indiana town when two young school teachers teamed up in 1962 to form not only a unique and lasting marriage, but possibly the most prolific songwriting team known to gospel music. Perhaps it is the simplicity of their music that first caught our attention. Their songs have provided hope, strength, and spiritual guidance for millions of listeners across the globe, and have bridged the chasm between doctrines, cultures, and musical generations. But without a doubt, it was their source, the endless well of truth that literally started the whole world singing. Because he lives, the stories behind the songs of Bill and Gloria Gaither. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Lowry, and I'm sitting in the family room of Bill and Gloria Gaither. You know, this is the very spot where they wrote, Because he lives, the King is coming. There's something about that name. He touched me. And we're going to be hearing a lot of those great songs tonight. And we're going to get to hear the stories behind those songs. And on top of that, I get to ask the questions. It's my show tonight. I'm so excited. Well, Gloria and Bill, here we are in the family room. And now this is the piano where you wrote all those songs, those great classics that we love and sing.
Yeah. Pretty much right here, and usually before noon, right here in this room. Except for maybe He Touched Me, which we wrote in a little rented house that we rented from Bill's dad and mom when we first got married. But most of them have been written right here with this piano.
Well, I have been looking forward to this moment for a long time. I feel like one of your songs that I love, I just feel like something good's about to happen because I've got a lot of good questions. How did you write that one?
You know what? We really wrote it out of necessity because we needed a happy song up front in our concerts. Somehow, people come in, they've been reading a lot of newspapers, a lot of bad artists. You know, they're depressed, you know. And so I told Gloria, we need something that just simply says, I just feel like something good is about to happen.
Feel like something good is about to happen. And brother, this could be that very day. And brother, this could be that very day.
This is the first Christian record. It was actually just a musical at first, and then you made a demo of it, and it sold 1 million copies.
Yeah, the ironic thing about that, it was just made to be a demo for church choirs.
Church choirs, right.
But it was a special work, and Bob McKenzie introduced us to an arranger named Ron Huff, an upcoming arranger.
Not a bad one.
Not a bad one. And he took our songs uptown. We had these little country tunes. I remember one of the tunes in there, you ask me why my heart keeps singing, why I can sing when things go wrong. But since I found the source of music, I just can't help it. God gave me the song. And that's all they know in Hallelujah. But we had too many nights without God's promise, too many days without a song. Jesus came and gave life meaning. Day after day, the song goes on. For since I found the source of music, I just can't help it. God gave the song. Ron said, that little song you got, God gave the song, said, would you mind if I did some changing in it? And I said, yeah, fine. What do you got in mind? And so all of a sudden, it was that. See, what is it? I can't even play what he did. What he did, and it came back, and he had this part in the middle where the armies marched against and everything. He said, "Do you like it?" I said, "I love it." So, when we got ready to publish the musical on that particular song, the rest of the songs he took our songs in completion and arranged them. But that one, he added this new part to it. And in fact, we even got a new copyright on it that says, but lyrics by Gloria, but music by Ron Huff and Bill Gaither. And Bob Benson was kidding one time. He says, yeah, God may have given you that song, Bill, but I think he gave a little bit more of it to Rod, huh?
You guys have written Southern Gospel, classical, you created inspirational practically in the 70s. Why the different genres? And also you won the Stellar Award when you wrote Jesus, You're the Center of My Joy with Richard Smallwood, which is a prestigious award.
You know what? And I think we're probably more proud of that particular award than anything that we have. And to know that today it is sung very much in black churches all across the country is quite exciting to us. Richard's manager got me together with him in Nashville for about an hour. Is all we had. And he said, "You have any ideas?" And I said, "Yeah, I got one, what we call a hook." And it was just that simple little, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. And we didn't have the rest of the lyrics. We just go da 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 da. Jesus, you're the center of my joy. and did a couple verses, musically, put it on a tape. I said, I'll take it home and let Gloria look at it. So I brought it home, and she said, this is just beautiful.
A wonderful melody, and the harmonics are so beautiful.
And then he took it and even arranged it more. I love the ending that he does. It just keeps going on and on and on.
Listing all the things. Yeah.
Listing all the things that thrills him about serving the Lord. I think it's a real moment of pride for us to have had the chance to write with Richard. What a wonderful musician.
Gloria, of all the songs that you and Bill have written, why do you think Because He Lives has had the greatest impact on people around the world?
It's been a big surprise because it was such a personal song. And maybe that is the reason, maybe because it came out of some real regular things in our lives. It was written in the 70s, actually in 1970, right at the end of the whole 60s situation in the world. And everything was pretty much in turmoil in the news for a decade. The Vietnam War and the whole civil rights movement was at the peak of the turmoil that was tearing America apart. Turned out to be a good thing, but at the time it was chaotic. We were expecting our third baby, and we were reading the newspaper saying, why in the world would anybody bring a baby into the world like this? What's it going to be like when this child has to face it? We went through a real dry spell in our writing, where we didn't write for 6 months or more, and wondered if that well was gone, was dried up. And through a series of events, after Benji was born and we held that little boy in our arms, it sort of dawned as, you know how theological things that you say all your life kind of dawn on you finally, and we realized that you don't do what you do and get married and have kids and go on with your life because the world is stable. You do all that because Christ is real and the resurrection is true and life wins. The verse that came first was the child verse with our child. How sweet to hold our newborn baby and feel the pride and joy he gives. But greater still the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because he lives. And then the other two verses came afterwards, and kind of the final and end to that story was 5 or 6 years later. My father died. And he died on a Friday night, and we came home, made funeral arrangements, and then flew out to our concert that night in McCormick's Place in Chicago. And we had always ended the first half of the concert with that song. And I thought I had written those words about the death of a saint just to make the song complete. Mm-hmm. But that night it was like I'd never heard it. And Danny began to sing, and then one day I'll cross that river. I'll fight life's final war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I know he'll reign. And that those words that I did, I thought to craft a song, turned around and became ministry for me. Which just goes to show you that when God gives you something, it's truer than you think. It's not about your skill.
And in all fairness, that night, we did the whole concert and said nothing about it. And it was tough, wasn't it?
Until the end.
Until the very end. And at the very end, I said, thanks for your kindness tonight. I said, Gloria has done this under very tough circumstances. She lost her father yesterday, and you've been very kind. And the song's still true. Mark, here's where I used to play basketball as a kid on the old barn. See those 4 little holes up there? That's where the basketball goal was. And I'd play out here with neighborhood kids. But I tell you what, when you drove in real hard to the bucket, you better be real careful because this was a sudden stop and you could get hurt pretty bad. But here's the old barn, so come on in.
Okay, where was the radio? Where were the cows? I've heard this story every night for 10 years. I want to know.
The cows would come in from there. That was their overnight lodging quarters in there. We would have to put straw down so they'd have a warm place to sleep. And then we would throw down hay from upstairs in the mow in the manger, and they would eat there. Then they would come in here in the mornings, and this was like, remember, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, right. Real cold mornings. And they've taken away the old stanchion, but you're standing right where the cow would face this way, put her head down in there and eat grain that we would throw down there. That would keep her busy while I'd turn on the old barn radio, and they would do that arpeggio. Boom, blah, 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 blah. Give the world a smile. Help things up, and that's the way it happened.
And you'd dream of singing with Hovey and Jake.
I would dream of singing with Jake and Hovey, and in fact, just smelling the old barn here brings back memories of me saying, one of these days I'm going to get out of here, and they're going to ask me to sing with them. And in fact, we would have corn in that field right through the window, and that was my field of dreams. I could just see Jake and Hovey and Chief coming out of those fields and say, hey, son, you want to join our group?
You build it, they will come. And you built it.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, Bill, here's a melody you didn't finish on your scratchings. What is that?
Where'd you find that?
In this pile of
You're kidding.
stuff.
Okay, here it is.
I guess you did finish that one. And that would be called There's
Jesus.
Yeah. Wow.
And I suppose nobody sang that any more beautifully than Danny did. Real big song that we got played all over the country was There's Something About That Name, and that was mainly because of Danny's beautiful tenor singing, and we still have people today who ask about Danny and why isn't he singing, and we tried to tell him. Right now he's limited, but he's coming back. He's getting better. And here again, I think he's a little tough on himself.
In God's tomorrow, some happy day, God shall wipe all tears away from dimmed eyes. There'll be no sorrow, love will ever reign. Gone will be all heartaches and pain. Down here, we may have trials, heartaches, and care, but to our better city we someday shall be heirs forever with Jesus round the great white throne. Then we shall know as we are known. Here we may have trials, heartaches, and care, but to a better city we someday shall be heirs forever with Jesus round the great white throne. Then we shall know as we are known. Then we shall know as we are known.
If you could change one thing about your dad, what would it be?
Problem with that, I was afraid it'd be a domino effect, you know, and then it'd change everything else, and then he wouldn't
I,
be dad.
I don't think I would change much. I mean, he's dad. He's, you know, it's just how he is.
He's weird.
He's very strange.
Yeah.
How's he weird?
He's just sort of not there a lot of times.
He's real
you know?
complicated. I mean, you know.
You think he has attention deficit disorder?
No.
No.
You don't
he does
really?
it selective.
Yeah.
Selectively.
It's like he has a little bit of everything and then a little bit of nothing. I mean, it's just like I don't know. It's
Because his
strange.
concentration skills are phenomenal on whatever it is he's concentrating on.
What he wants to concentrate.
Yeah. We're all having a conversation. We're all eating. We're all engaged in each other. We're being a family, and he's over there just eating, not saying a word. And he hasn't said a word forever. And then just out of the blue, he'll say, "Gloria, did you take care of that?" And we all stop, and she says, "What?" And he'll go, "The garden, the mulch."
And you weren't talking about mulch.
No,
Not anywhere near.
So it's autistic then.
He's like Rain Man, except he's no good at math.
I am a possibility, I am a promise with a capital P. I am a great big bundle of potentiality, and I'm learning to hear God's voice, and I'm trying to make the right choices. I'm a promise to be anything God wants me to be.
You're a promise to be anything God wants you to be.
I'm a promise to be anything
Anything.
He wants me to be.
I'd like to start off by saying that single-handedly for an industry that Bill Gaithers has done more for.
Gaither. Bill Gaither.
Gaither. Well, that's really not my fault because, you know, up to about 4 months ago, I couldn't tell the difference between Bill Gaither and Bob Vila. I didn't know. You understand that. Yeah. I know one of them builds pianos and the other destroys.
Always imagine exactly what that is. Right.
No, Bill.
But we're not here to honor him.
No, we're not. No. Bill Gaither is Gaither. Bill Gaither. He's totally dedicated to gospel music. He's the only guy I know that wants his natural hair to look like a wig.
And he's successful at it.
And yeah, he's good at it.
Why do you have so much humor in your concerts?
You know what? We have done that from the beginning. A lot of people think I just started with Mark Lowry. That was not true.
Well, it got good.
I was the first Mark Lowry.
It got really sharp.
We took it to another level when you
Yes,
came.
well, another level.
I can remember in the early days with the with the trio. Well, even before Gloria came along, when Danny and Gloria and Marianne and I go to churches, I would say, "We're glad to be here." I said, "This is my little sister. She's 11 years old. And this is my brother Danny. He's 16 years old, or 18, but then 18 years old." and I'm his brother Bill. A lot of people ask if Danny's married, and the answer is no. And there'd be a little pause and a little chuckle, and I'd say, and I'm not either. And there'd be a bigger laugh then, you know. And it really started there to really realize that if you were going to be able to feed some serious ideas to a crowd, you had to some way make friends with them and do it with humor. And then later on, when we got together, there was quite a bit of humor. I remember the lines like, "How many of you thought your mom liked your brother better than she liked you?" And they raised their hands. "How many of you knew your mother liked your brother better than she liked you?" There's some more hands raised, and a bigger laugh, you know. "How many of your mothers told you she liked your brother better than..." And it would lead into this song, "I'm Something Special." Humor has always been a way to get defenses down, because people kind of come in, I think, with some walls. And it's a way to knock some walls down to say, hey, we got something serious we want to say. And people often say to me, how's Mark Lowry to live with on the bus? Well, for crying out loud, if they're thinking he's like he is on the stage all the time on a bus, he's one of the most serious young men I know. He's a very caring person. He's a very charitable person. I'm tearing you up here. But the humor is a technique for you to communicate to people that God loves them and cares about them and thinks they're
And people can't laugh with their arms folded.
They can't.
They've got to bring their arms down.
I think it's very important that we take God very seriously. And I think it's very important that we take ourselves a whole lot less seriously. We're not God. We're just parents. We're just wives. We're just people. And I think a lot of times we take ourselves too seriously and don't take God seriously enough.
And when people write me and say, you know, when you make that joke about hair, there are people who have got balding problems. Well, join the club. I've got a balding problem. And Danny has a balding problem. And when you say something about Bill's weight or your weight, or people got weight, join the club.
Just don't say anything about mine. Just hush.
I mean, we all have those problems. And to get them out and laugh about them, or stuttering, or not being able to think fast enough, let's laugh about them. Celebrate them. It's part of our humanity. Give them to the Lord and have a good time.
But I can remember one of the things that we did to see if our new songs were any good or not. We'd mimeograph off one of our new songs at work or at school during the week. Just stay with me. I'm going to... I'm circling the field. It doesn't mean I'm going to land, but I could come in any time. So you just get your seat. Laura and I were both teaching school. She was a French teacher, and I was teaching English down the hall at the high school there at home. I hadn't met her yet, but I was excited about meeting her. Not as excited as she was about meeting me, but...
Yeah, I remember you had that funny-looking haircut.
Yeah, that wasn't funny. It was a crew cut.
It was funny. It looked kind of like a suede bowling ball. No, really what happened is you asked me if I'd like to go to lunch.
In fact, we went out, for every day for about 2 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. We had the nice
fun.
talks, yeah. And after a couple of weeks, I thought she's getting to like me. Because then that one day, you offered to pay for lunch. So we went to the restaurant, and the lady brought the menus, and she opened them and put them in front of us, and I noticed Bill closed his right away, and he said, I think I'll just have a grilled cheese. What will you just have? I knew there was charm and wit buried under there someplace.
How right you were.
And humility. You know, and then when we start dating pretty seriously then, and about the time I thought I couldn't live without you, remember I had to go home for the whole summer.
That was really hard on you.
No, it was. I had to, but I had a really good job up at home, and I needed the money for my senior year.
Tell them what you did.
It was a really good job.
Tell them what you did, Gloria.
I worked at Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
tell them what you did at Kellogg's in Battle Creek. Go on, tell them what you did, Gloria.
I picked the burnt cornflakes off the conveyor belt.
Bill ran interference for both of us kids. I remember when I went to high school, it was that way. Bill, well, you know, he got me in the high school. Sure enough, right, I was in 8th grade, and they needed somebody to sing. And Bill said, I know somebody. And they said, who? And they said, my brother. Well, I was in grade school, and it was a high school program. He got us in that one.
The first lead singer that we ever had was this good man right here. And you want to say anything? No. Okay.
Place too full.
And he's been through it, but thanks to folks like Hovey who has been through the same thing. How many times have you regrown that hair, Hovey? 3 different times. And the hats are so nice that he but I think it's saying to a lot of folks who are listening that God is in it all. And this last time that he went through stem cell transplant in Omaha, the doctors feel very good about it. And once he gets his strength back, he's going to sing with us again. But for right now, he can't sing. All he can do is sing.
I think most of you know that family groups sometimes work, and sometimes they don't. And it's one thing to go out on stage, and all of you husband-wife teams know what it feels like to go out after you've had a fight. But I just want you to know that I never had a brother growing up. I have a sister. But Daddy has been a brother to me from the beginning. And I don't think we've ever had a crossword that I remember making. Maybe he can think of some. But I treasure this man. And he's not just a brother to Bill. He's been a brother to me, singing or not. And he's really dear to my heart. And he is the easiest person in the wide world to get along with. And I'm not, but he is.
In the beginning, Jim Hill... And you can sit down, okay? And the Golden Keys sang our songs when nobody else would sing them. This old boy just sang them all over the country, and he's part of our family also. And one day he came by the house, said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're writing a song," and we had just written this song, and I think it'd be great to sing.